Hello everyone, I'm Jesse Happy and you're watching Kalakar.in. So last month I had my birthday and during that day I captured a really beautiful moment. So I immediately took it to the printing shop and got a printout of it. But then it got me thinking, where should I put it? Being the maker that we are, I didn't want to go buy an off-the-shelf frame and then put the photograph into it. So it got me started and I designed all these variations. So in this video I will show you how I designed the frames in Illustrator, how I got it to Fusion, and from there how I 3D printed them, then finishing it, the entire process. By the way, this is a frame that I designed that goes on the wall, so I cannot keep it on the frame, but you can just hang it on the wall. Let me show you how I designed the frame. This is Illustrator. Let me open a new file around 8 inches by 6 inches. This is because the photo that we have is 6 by 4 inches. So I just added 2 inches to the width and 2 inches to the height, and then I'm going to say OK. Now we know that our photo size is 6 by 4 inches. So let me drop that and I'll align it to the artboard to the center. So that's center. By the way, I want this border to be around 3 mm. By the way, to change it to 3 mm, you have to go to Illustrator, Preference, Units, and here you can change it to millimeters. So once you do that, here in the border section, the stroke section, you will be able to see the width as 3 mm. So that's done, and we need a second one which is of the entire work area, that is 8 by 6. So let's drop that also. Right click, arrange, send to back. Now we will be able to see both. So I'll arrange this also to the left and top, which means it's in the center. Now you can see that the stroke is expanding on either side from this blue line. That's because it's kind of in the center, which is align stroke. I want it to be set inside, so I set it inside now, and I'll do the same for this one also. I need this to be inside. Okay, cool. Now that we have done these both, let us lock this layer and create a new layer, and in this layer I am going to put our design. So here is the design, and once I can take the design out, copy this and paste it over here, paste. Then when we zoom out, I will kind of proportionally drag it to enlarge it to fit the space. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure that these kind of tentacles or this curly things kind of attach to the frame instead of them just hanging like this, because if you 3D print them, then these are going to be just hanging here and there. So it's better to move them and make sure that they touch the frame. And you can see a lot of dots here and there are there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it out first, ungroup it. This might not be the same case for your design, but you should be able to remove these free elements separately because they are not connected to anything, and if you just 3D print them, they will be like individual objects. So it's better to just ungroup it or select it individually and delete them. Now in this design, if I deselect it, you should be able to see that all the designs are connected to one another and nothing are like free radicals. Now the thickness of these strokes are really thin and we need to kind of increase that. So to do that, I'm going to go to object path and say offset path, and let me put it in preview. By the way, it is in inches for us. If it is in mm, it's much more easily understandable. So let me bring up the rulers. That's Command R. The rulers have come. Now when I right click on it, I can change the units from inches to millimeters. Now again, if I go to this object path and click on offset path, I can preview it. Of course, this is too thick, so all I need is around 0.5 mm. That gives a relatively thick border around it. So I'll do that. Okay, and let me just move the original path away. So this is something that we don't need because it's the thin one that we started with. Let's delete that, and this is the one that we need. So to edit this, let's unlock both the layers and then select this and kind of drop it into this layer. Now everything is in the same layer. Let's bring this to the top, bring to the front. Now this is kind of getting shape as the frame that we require. I'll select this also, and I will, using Pathfinder tool, trim it. So that creates the opening that we want. Before doing that, let's take a duplicate of it, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, let's keep it aside. Now we can cut this out, because when we did the Pathfinder, the borders went away, but we need those borders. That's why I took the copy out. Now I can align it back into position. So I'll center line that. So that's back into position. Same way. Now we need to remove these items which are on the outside of the frame. To do that, first let me see if this group, okay, let me ungroup that. Now that is ungrouped, let me draw a rectangle which fills the entire carving which is outside the work area. Now I will align it to the top, and once I align it to the top, I'll just drag it or transform it from that point. The reason being, I need the triangle to cut from this area, and if I'm going to move the rectangle over here, there is a chance that 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter will be off. So instead, if I'm going to align it vertical top, so it will align exactly to the artboard, then I can drag this over here like this, and I can be sure that this is touching the artboard, and then there is no of gap between. So that way we can make sure everything works fine. And now we can select it and go to Pathfinder again and then trim it off. So the top one is trimmed. So now we have the frame with the design that we want. I want to mention here that there are these elements which are kind of there, but they don't carry any significance. So I'm just going to remove them to keep the area a little bit clear. Now I feel it is all clear. Now we can select just the border and go to Object, Expand Appearance. That will give this kind of two lines. If we ungroup it, you will be able to take the fill area out, and over here again ungroup. So there's this fill area that comes out, and here also there's this fill area which comes out. Now all we are left with solids only. So we can select all the solids, and here we can set it as black. Let's export this as DXF file, export. In the settings, it is important that we change this to inches and set the scale to 1. So for every one scale, it is 1 units. This is very necessary if you are going to export something from Illustrator to Fusion. So while that is saving, let me open Fusion and create a new file. So once we are in Fusion, we can import the DXF file. Insert DXF, click on the plane that we want to insert in, and then here's the frame. It takes a while for the file to be imported. Once the file is imported, we can click on OK. It looks perfectly fine. Now we have to extrude the frame that we want. So let's zoom in and select extrude. I know that the thickness needs to be around 3 mm, so I'm going to do that, rather minus 3 mm, so that it goes below the plane. So that's OK. It takes a while to extrude as well, because there's a lot of calculation that's going on. Once that is done, we need to put a sketch on top of it to create the base layer. So I'll go to 2-point rectangle, select this as the plane, and then select this as the starting point and this as the ending point. This gives us a rectangle that encloses the entire sketch. Then I can extrude it for about 6 mm. Make sure that it is not joined and it is a new body, because we need to print them as 2 separate bodies. So new body, and then say OK. You can see already the frame is looking really great. Now what we have to create is an insert over here through which we can extrude it out. So to do that, let's click on the bottom layer, again a 2-point sketch, click on this plane. We need this as the starting point and this as the end point, and go to sketch, offset, select the sketch that we need to offset. We need to offset it on the outside, so that's minus 3 mm, which will create this offset. So click on OK. Now again we have to create this offset, so let us go and create this one on the outside. At the same time, we will create a 3 mm offset over here and extrude it by minus 3. It's created on the inside, but that's okay. All we have to do is move this body on the top and it will look perfectly fine. So here is the body that we need to move, and to show you better, I'm just moving it from this side to this side. So now if you see, the frame will look actually proper. So we have the insert on this side and we have the frame on this side, so that's perfectly fine. Now to create the stand on which this frame will go on, I have to come to the side. Let me click on the line tool, and this is the side that I want to sketch in. So from this place I'll take a 100 degree angle with a 20 mm length, and then another one will go right about over here. That doesn't matter, it just needs to touch the plane. So I'm not paying attention to the degree or the mm, so I'll close it like that, which creates a kind of a close sketch like this. Now we can stop sketch and we should extrude it as a separate plane. So let's do that. 202.4 new body. Okay, now we'll be able to shell this, modify, shell. So we need an inner thickness of 2 mm, so that's perfectly fine. Now we need to export these two bodies as a single STL file. So go to modify, combine, select this and this. Now that's one single body, so we can save this as the base and we will export this one as the separate frame. Now I can show you how we can join these two pieces together using super glue, and also how to paint it and make it really different and chassis. So here are the 3D printed frames, you can see them, and as such these colors kind of do match, but I think I can do better with spray paints, so that's what I'm going to show you now. This is another one that we made using just the simplified 3D software. I'll just show you in a minute. So first let me spray paint this frame black. To do that I have this board which is kind of bigger. First I'll do the back side, and then even if I touch it over here, it's not a problem because it's going to be on the back. So recently I opened up a Patreon page. It comes with a lot of goodies like live stream from the shop, behind the scene videos, one-on-one Skype call. There's also a monthly giveaway, weekly giveaway, and if you just become a Patreon, there's a separate giveaway for it. As a part of monthly giveaway, I'm going to give out 2 frames. To participate in this giveaway, you just have to go to Patreon page, become a Patreon based on whatever offerings that you like, and at the end of the month I will let the computer choose 2 people to whom I'll send these frames. This giveaway is not limited to just India, it is open worldwide. So go ahead, become a Patreon and help me grow this channel. Just remember, a small monthly donation will go a long way in helping me keep creating such contents and keeping it free for you guys. So it's all painted finally. The face frame, as I would like to call it, will get spray painted in gold color. By the way, I wanted to mention that I want this to be the front face, so I printed it like this. Now I'm going to spray paint on this side. So if you flip it and print, the ultra base which touches the bottom layer is really smooth, and then we will get this as the front face. So this side can be just left as is because we will super glue this to the frame. I wanted to show you how I made the face frame for the frames. It's very simple and it is only available on Simplify 3D right now. I don't know if it is available in Cura, but this is how I made it in Simplify 3D. And in the process is where all the magic is. So in the layers, we don't want any top layer, so we'll set that to 0, and the bottom is also set to 0. We'll click OK to that, but first let's rotate it. So that's 90 degrees. Center and arrange. Okay, now it's good. And in the infill section is where you get a lot of different kind of infills. So for example, if I set it to wiggle and set the infill to be around 10%, then when we click on prepare to print, you should be able to see how the pattern evolves. Here the wiggle has been formed, it almost looks like the one that I've made, but the spacing is just too much, and that's because of the infill. So we can control that using the infill percentage, so 15%. And then when I click on prepare to print, you can see that has considerably come together. Similarly, if you want any other design patterns, then we go to infill. Instead of wiggle, we say full honeycomb. Okay, prepare to print. Now you get the honeycomb pattern. Hopefully this makes sense. Let me show you how I finish this. First, we'll take this 3D printed frame. This one is not the spray painted one. This is just from the black filament. And on this I am going to stick the one that we painted silver. To stick it, I am going to use CA glue. So here's the frame that we spray painted it, and here's the other face frame that we spray painted gold. Wow, do you think it's beautiful? I think it's amazingly beautiful. So I'm going to just hold it tight together and apply a dab of glue over there. Likewise, I have this circular frame that I did. It carries out almost the same process. It's just that instead of a rectangle one, I have a circular one now, and you can see it's all fill layers. There's no separate layers to it, and I've exported that to DXF, and I can open that right now in Fusion. So again, insert DXF. I wanted to show you this process, although it is very similar to the rectangle one, how to make it for a circular one, because the image that you put inside will be rectangle but the frame is circle. You could see that I kind of haven't merged few shapes in Illustrator and then they have popped out to be separate. So let me select them individually. Now the entire flower is selected, so we can extrude it. Again, the same way, we need to extrude it in the minus direction for about 3 mm. So we can now go back to the top layer, and from the top layer we need a frame which covers both the circles, but here I'm going to do it a little different, that I am going to cover only the outermost edge, like here. I'm just going to draw it up until here and we can extrude this. So that is done. We need a circle which creates an opening in this section, kind of like this, and this needs to be cut off. So now you can see how the frame is looking, and we need a rectangle now. So I'll again click this as the center point. This is the place where I want it. So I want it about 100 by 100. That's good enough, and I can select this and go down by -3 mm. So now we have an insert, and that's how we'll be creating an insert for the picture. So the picture can be kind of squarish, but what we see through here will be circle. So here is the circular or the round frame that I printed, and you can see the center one goes like this and the outer one will get stuck like that. So we have the circular frame over here. This was spray painted from pink to black, and on this side we're going to stick this first. Now on the top of it we can put the other frame and glue this, but this time I'm going to make sure that I put some glue on this side like this. The reason that I did was, when I'm putting CA glue, it spoils the matte finish and it gives me glossy finish over there. So I think by applying glue on the other side and then flipping it, we can avoid it. So here it is. I know not everybody has a 3D printer, and as I said before, I will show you a method how you can make your own frames. It's essentially going to look the same, but we will make using this 4 mm MDF. So I will draw the shape on this MDF. I'll draw the markings, then I'll show it to you. Essentially what we're going to do is take two pieces of this, put one behind the other. The first one will form the ledge on which the photograph will sit. The second one will kind of have a pocket over there so that you can put in the photograph and the backup board, and finally you will be able to make a frame using this. So next I'll show you the drawing on this. So on this MDF I've essentially drawn two pieces of the same frame, the same cutout. Here I am going to draw a 5 mm outline like this. Let me just show that to you. So in this frame we will be cutting out this section, and in this frame along with the extra line we will be cutting it off. we now have both the frames, one a little larger and one little smaller, and of course the jigsaw is not perfect, so we will use a file to make it up to the line, and then we will do a cut over here so that we will get 2 frames out of this. Wow, that was a long video. Of course, it was just a small idea that popped out, and I wanted to tell you the entire process of it, and so the video had to be long. With so many of you watching this video, I'm sure that you will have tons and tons of suggestions on how to make these designs better. So if you have any suggestions, please put them in the comments, and also I'll be very happy to answer those questions that you have in the comment area. Now that I have a Patreon page, I'm looking forward to do a lot of activities like behind the scene videos, live videos, as and when the project happens. So please become a Patreon and help me grow this channel and always keep this content free. As always, you can follow me on Instagram to see what I'm working on right now, and if you like the project that I do, then please subscribe to this channel so that you can see more such videos. I'm Jesse Happy and you're watching Kalakar.in. Until next time, happy learning.